you about presenting a conference poster, and hopefully at the end of my session, I can convince you that presenting a conference poster is a good idea, is worth the trouble. Actually, the idea for composing this lecture came to me when I was attending a conference in Madrid in 2010. I'm pre-diabetes, and they had up on the wall a list of the countries participating with a number of flags for each country corresponding to the number of participants. So you can imagine being an obesity-oriented conference, the longest list was from the US, and then the list got shorter and shorter. And then I was very proud to see Egypt, but it was quite a short list, and we are just hoping to make it a bigger list in different kinds of conferences. What is a conference poster? And forgive me those of you who have experience, so if you presented only one, you will know what I'm talking about, but I'll just go at the basic level for those who haven't. So it's basically a summary of your research, as in a presentation, but it is put on one printed sheet to present in a conference. So it looks a bit like this. When you are submitting your work to a conference, is it you that decides that you want to present it as a poster rather than an oral presentation? Usually it isn't. You can specify your preference. You can say most of us would go for an oral presentation first, but then the decision rests with the conference organizers. As you can imagine, time is limited within a conference, so the number of oral presentations is usually limited, whereas space is less limited, especially if it rotates, especially if you have a group of posters up each day. So actually the ratio of oral presentations to posters in most conferences are about 1 to 10 to 1 to 50. This means, mathematically, that any submitted abstract is more likely to be accepted as a poster rather than an oral presentation. So what do? Let's say you've done a bit of research in your lab and you haven't published it yet as a journal article. So what do you need to do to sort of try and present it to the outside world? You basically find the suitable conference on the internet. You Google your specialty. And if you're doing biochemistry, for example, it doesn't have to be a biochemistry conference. It can be biochemistry of Alzheimer's disease, in which case you would go to a neurology conference. So if you widen your choices, you're bound to find something. And then once they have your email address, they tend to contact you afterwards by email, so you will get updates with suitable conferences. You submit an abstract within the deadline by uploading it on the conference website. You wait a bit, usually it's 1 to 6 months before you are notified whether your abstract has been accepted. Once you've been notified that it's been accepted and you've decided to go, you will need to register for the conference online, and that is at the stage at which you have to pay to register. And then you just make your poster, you print it, you put it in a tube, and you take it along to the conference. So why go to all this trouble, basically? First of all, it's a relatively easy way to publicize your research, to make people aware of your research. And I say publicize and not publish because it is not the formal way of publishing, which is the journal article, of course. It's not as strictly peer-reviewed as in a journal article, but it makes people aware of what you are doing and what your center is doing. So it's a relatively easy way because any relevant scientifically sound study, if it's designed well, and it's relevant to the subject of the conference, it is likely to be accepted for poster presentation. And the reason is that that's what brings the money into the conference. It is a great opportunity to interact with other scientists in your field, and it's a good way to get feedback on your research, and often you will get ideas how to improve your research just by presenting the conference poster. It's much less stressful than an oral presentation, so you can enjoy the place you're going, you can go for a bit of sightseeing because it doesn't carry the stress of presenting an oral presentation, and and it is funded. You can be funded by University of Alexandria if you're a university member. So as far as I know, and people will correct me here, you can get funded for one conference every 2 years. You're paid your registration fees, you're paid your plane tickets, and you're given pocket money for accommodation. And very recently, this has extended to assistant lecturers and demonstrators. So basically, you'll be paid to go and present the work, and you will see a new place. So, what exactly happens? When is a poster displayed and presented? In terms of being put up, it's put up in a hall like we saw in the picture, and it's either for the whole conference, you just put it up at the beginning and you take it home at the end, or in set days. So you will be told by email or in a final program that you receive, you will need to put it up on the days of 29th and 30th of March and remove it by 4 p.m. that day. You will have a fixed board number on which to put your poster. Usually you find this out towards the end as well. So when is it presented? When do you stand next to your poster and present it? Some conferences will have a set time slot for presenting conference posters, and these are the longer conferences. So if it's a 7-day conference, they can say Monday afternoon is for conference posters. But most conferences will just have it during lunch and coffee breaks. And that is when you need to grab your coffee and go stand next to your conference poster, because that is when people will be coming to your poster. So here's an example of a program which I got off the web. So basically, here's the talks, and here's a coffee break, and etc. So here it says lunch break, poster, and exhibition visit. So that's typical. So during all these slots, unless you've got set days, during all these slots, you need to be standing by your poster. And this is the opportunity to try and get feedback from people. So how do you make your poster? Basically, it's preferable to make your own poster on your own computer rather than have someone do it. There are specialized programs for it, as Adobe InDesign, but very easily you can make a very good quality poster in PowerPoint. And because you are using PowerPoint for something that's not that it wasn't designed for, you just need to modify PowerPoint, and as I'll show you very quickly, just by modifying, I'll show you on this one maybe. It's in the page setup somewhere, can't find it now. It's in the page setup where you basically put the dimensions of your poster. So it gives you 2 slots to fill in the dimensions of your poster. And once you have it to a large size, so it's usually an A0 or an A1, once you have it set to the right dimensions, then you can start working within your poster and just filling in boxes with parts of the poster, as I will explain. So on the conference website, there will be detailed instructions of how much space you will have and whether your poster will be landscape or portrait. And sometimes it will go as far as telling you the font sizes, how large the font sizes need to be. So I got this off the website of a conference, and it tells you, for example, that posters should be mounted from 8 to 9 a.m. on the assigned day, removed at the conclusion of the sessions on that day, so that's a one-day display, and then it starts telling you it needs to be 90 centimeters by 120 centimeters, etc. Sorry, I have to skip how to set the dimensions. Okay, so what do you put in the poster? So once you have it, now it looks like a slide for a presentation. You just need to fill in your different boxes. You need to put a bit of background, which is why you're presenting, why your study is important. And when you are making up your background, when you're writing the background or introduction, think of who the audience are. So if you're doing the biochemistry of Alzheimer's disease and you're going to a neurology conference, there's no need to talk too much about the Alzheimer's disease because they'll know. But probably you're working on a biochemical pathway that they're not very familiar with, So just maybe illustrate the pathway, and vice versa, of course. The aim needs to be short and clear. Usually it's a 1 or 2 sentence section. In the methods section, you don't need to put all the details. Not all methods used need to be put in the methods section. Only methods that are of interest. So for example, if you've measured 10 parameters, 5 of them using ELISA, you don't even need to mention ELISA. Whereas if you've used an instrument that is itself of interest or high-tech, like a tandem mass spectrometry instrument, perhaps mention it. Very important in the methods section to mention the number of your samples or your population and the study design, whether it's a cross-sectional or longitudinal or a clinical trial, and also the methods that are quite technical. The results section is the main section of your poster. It should be the biggest section, it should have the biggest space, and usually it's a mix of figures, tables, and texts. And then you will have an acknowledgement section that could be in smaller writing. You might have references. Sometimes you need to include 1 or 2 or 3 references, so you might have these. You can put them in short. First author, journal, year should do it, or year in pages. You don't have to write it all out. Some people would include a discussion, but that's not typical. Very important not to forget in your poster to put your poster title, the authors, their affiliation, which universities or which centers they've worked at, if anyone's been funding your research, and you might put contact details, or you can put that in some handouts that stand by your poster. And if you're going to use an email address, I would really recommend that you get a professional AlexMed email address. It sounds a lot more professional, and then people instantly can link you to your institution. And you can get that من مكتبة الدوريات في الكلية. You probably know better than me. Keep in mind بقى إنه لما بتبقى when it's an oral presentation, the audience are captive, like I have you here. You can't go anywhere. Whereas in a poster presentation, people are wandering. So you need to attract them and keep them by your poster for the longest time possible. They will not have too much time to look at it, so you want to get the main message across. So as a rough guide, not more than 2/5 text, even less. And then a mix of figures and tables, and figures are much better than tables. And then 1/5 of empty space just as margins and partitions. Aim for a font size that people can read from 1 or 2 meters. So people are passing by. If this is a poster, they'll probably be passing by at this distance to the stairs here. And so make sure that at least the title can be read very easily, and perhaps have the conclusions as well in a quite large font, because that's what people look at first to decide, am I going to stop at this poster or not? So basically, this is a very rough guide. It will vary, but something like 75 plus fonts for a title. And then this subtitles for the section that says methods, results, discussion. And then your main text shouldn't be less than 30 in Arial. You can leave the smaller font for references and acknowledgements and things like that. Use color. I like the use of color to attract, because unless people have decided from the conference program that they're coming to your poster, they're just passing by, and color will catch the eye. So it could be a good way to attract people to begin with. Clean fonts are better than, so clean fonts like Arial and Verdana and Tahoma. So each of these words is written in that font. So this is the Tahoma font, this is the Calibri font. These are better than, fonts with little bits and pieces, which are, just for clarity reasons, but, you can use either. Use bold and italics for emphasis and not underline. Do not use underline because it crams the poster. Everything needs to line up with something when you're designing your poster. So when you have the boxes, I think I can try and do a demo this time. If you go to View and go to Guides, do you see these lines? So these are your guides, and you can use them as borders. And to duplicate the the guides, all you need to do is to click, control, and drag. Click, control, and drag. And so now you have a duplicate. Click, control, and drag, and now you have 4. Click, control, and drag. Or if you don't want to duplicate, if you just want to move this one, then it's click, then it's click and drag. Basically. So using these guides, and you've got the horizontal version as well. Using these guides, you can get your poster to be nice and lined up. Okay. Often you will use figures, and most of them will be data figures, so that's not a problem. But just beware of low resolution figures that we get off the internet. Because, okay, so I have to give myself 3 minutes. Because basically, low resolution figures, if you expand them to poster size, they'll just be a lot more hazy. So if you just expand this, and that's a lot less than poster size, sorry. Then it's very hazy. So you need to try it real size before printing out, to avoid disappointments. Beware of copyright issues. These are a couple of websites that will give free figures, but photos on Google sometimes are, they're not free to use, you need to purchase them. Where possible, as I said, always use a chart rather than a table. The data figures must be cited in text. So let's say you've got a figure 1 showing a metabolic pathway. It just doesn't stand there with its caption. You need to mention it in text. So say, for example, cysteine is synthesized from methionine, between brackets figure 1. Otherwise, people get lost. Where does this figure fit in what I'm trying to read? Of course, obviously, you need to use much thicker lines than you would use for a publication, and you would need less detail than in a publication. I'm sorry I can't show this example now. As optional extras, you can choose to have some printouts of your poster, maybe with the email address on them standing next to your poster. If the study has been published by the time you're presenting it, typically you would not submit a published article to a conference. But let's say you've submitted it, got accepted by the conference, and in the time before going to the conference it got published in a journal. Now you can have printouts of that and distribute it to people who are interested. When presenting your poster, people will come, and you just make sure you're wearing your badge, you're standing next to your poster, just make sure people know that you belong to that poster. People will tell you, smile and say hello, and I find that a bit, it might even drive people away. But just being there and being, ready to answer questions, make it. If people do come to the poster, you need to just let them know that you're here to talk them through the poster or answer questions that they have after reading the poster. Always a good idea to be brief. And then people can move on to other posters, or if they're more interested, they will ask focused questions. And of course, the problem with poster presentations is that you might have to explain the same thing over and over again. So just don't get bored, don't lose the enthusiasm, because you never know, your last visitor might be a future collaborator. Thank you very much for listening. I will take this chance of having the microphone of thanking all my colleagues in physiology departments, in particular my junior colleagues. I'm not going to say names, just so I don't forget someone, but they've worked very hard towards organizing this conference. They are the real players behind the scene. To thank Professor Lubna for making everything easy. To thank Professor Mahar Ghazi for actually giving us the idea that you can get funding for an external visitor. To thank Professor Nilan, who got the money for the buffet. So it's been a real team effort. I've really